Hey, what's up, everybody?
And welcome back to Mile Higher Podcast, episode 402. Today, I am here with my co-host, Josh, of course. I am
You
Kendall.
are here with your co-host, Josh. You were not here last week.
Oh, yeah, right. I wasn't here last week.
So welcome back.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. And I was bummed I couldn't be here last week, but things are just crazy lately.
Yeah, we're in a lot
of changes.
Yeah, we're scrambling to get our new studios finished up and
As
moving
we keep
schedules
updating
around.
you on every week.
I know. It's coming. We are getting in
Let's
there
hope.
in 3 weeks.
Okay.
Mark my words.
All right. I'm marking them.
And if
I am marking
don't
them.
don't make the deadline, I'm off the show.
Oh, that's
forever.
Okay. All right. Who's going to fill in for
I am
you?
firing myself from the show.
It's going to be me and Ian or me and Tom.
Yep.
And that's the end of that. And speaking of Ian and Tom, they are here as well. Hello. Guys.
Hi.
How you guys doing today?
Good. New
Good.
episode of Silo tonight.
Oh, yeah. New episode of
It's a great
Silo
day.
tonight. Yep. Very excited for that. We record on Fridays. And if you guys are not watching Silo, you are missing out. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Silo, though. We are, in fact, here to talk about a very viral case that people have been talking about for years. We're going to be looking at the latest in the Kouri Richins case, sort of doing a deep dive now that things have pretty much come to an end. I mean, things will never fully come to an end when it comes to Kouri. I believe she will probably keep fighting this because she, believes that she is innocent. And I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the Kouri Richins case because it did get a ton of attention. I covered it a few years ago when the case was first breaking, and we have learned so much since then. We knew that we wanted to take another look at it and go over everything that we learned through the trial.
Well, I don't think we covered it on
leading up to it.
Mile Higher.
No, we didn't cover it on Mile Higher, but I covered it on TCKR.
Yeah,
And,
I knew nothing about this. I didn't even know about it when it happened, other than maybe I overheard you talk about it briefly.
I'm sure
But I'm like
filled you in to
completely
some
new
degree.
to this case, and
You were blown away, huh?
wowzer, man.
Yeah.
She's a real piece of work. I mean, my God.
Piece of shit.
For somebody who is so adamant about, I'm innocent, this is all lies, this is all bullshit, that, they're just trying to put me away. The evidence that is uncovered, and uncovered very easily, mind you, that
Because she's dumb as fuck.
she did not cover her tracks very well at all.
No.
It's pretty blatantly obvious what she had planned, but it's always just so confusing when you think about it from like a psychological perspective of what is she really thinking in her head? Did she really think that this whole plan was going to play out and she was going to be able to convince everybody that
I think she really did. She
that
seemed very
Eric-
confident in herself.
Eric just overdosed and that would be it? All of Eric's wealth is now hers.
Yep.
And she can go on and live her life.
Mhm.
It's always...
That's what she hoped for. And, for a while, I'm sure she really thought, I'm getting away with this. Took a while to bring her down.
Been doing this for a long time, and I'm still blown away at people who think they are going to get away with the most obvious crimes.
Yeah.
And especially when you start plotting someone's murder, it's insane to me. Like, what kind of mindset do you have to be in that you think, I'm so smart, I'm so sneaky, I'm going to get away with this. It's going to look like a total accidental overdose, and then everything's going to be fine.
She really thought she was doing this in a quite clever way and couldn't be farther from the truth. Now, this case went to trial in February of this year, 2026, and we learned a lot through that. It was pretty shocking. And just the statements that her children gave to be read in court were
damning.
They say it all. Yeah. So we'll be getting to all of that. We do have a lot to go over, so let's go ahead and jump in. So let's go back to the early morning hours of March 4th, 2022 for a sec, just to give you a rundown. Real estate agent and mother of 3, Kouri Richins, dialed 911 in an absolute panic. She discovered her husband of 9 years and father to her children, Eric Richins, was dead in their bed. While investigators assumed Eric's death stemmed from an accidental overdose, as she designed it to look that way, Eric's family had been warned of Kouri before. if something happened to him, she was the one to blame. And we'll explain more of that later. But still, for nearly a year, Kouri presented herself as the grieving wife, self-publishing a book for her children, which was called Are You With Me? Now, this book is probably the reason that this case got so much attention. I mean, there's plenty of other reasons why too, but I think this is what really caught people's attention, just because it is so bizarre to write a book for children, for your children specifically, about grief when you are the one who killed him. I mean, it's just hard to even wrap your mind around how someone could do that. And as Kouri was going around doing a little book tour, you could say, on like local TV stations, and her children were finally able to move forward with their lives to some degree, the unthinkable happened. Kouri was arrested and charged for murdering Eric using a lethal dose of fentanyl. And then what followed were years of uncovered secrets, deleted messages, hidden affairs, and a court case that answered the question, did Kouri Richins kill her husband? So let's start by telling you more about Eric and who he was as a person to his loved ones. Eric was born to Jean and Linda Richins on May 13th, 1982 in Bountiful, Utah. And according to his family, Eric's world just revolved around his family, his love for hunting as well, and his family's cattle ranch. They said that being part of the Richins family shaped his formative years and molded his personality into one defined by hard work, dedication, and staunch loyalty. He would eventually become the oldest of two sisters, Amy and Katie, whom he led and loved fiercely as their big brother. Now, from an early age, Eric was surrounded by horses and cattle on their family's ranch and spent countless hours helping his dad with farm work, hauling the hay, feeding the animals, and mending their fences. Throughout his youth, Eric was an avid athlete who loved really any kind of sport, whether it was watching or playing. He was involved in cross country, in basketball, baseball, soccer, and he eventually coached an all-boys team. He tirelessly worked with the student athletes and taught the boys to give it their all and play aggressively. Eric was also a devoted member of his church, LDS, and served a 2-year mission in which he learned how to speak Spanish fluently. And eventually, he received his bachelor's degree from the University of Utah, where he majored in international studies and minored in Spanish. His family said that there was never a dull moment when you were around Eric. And this is funny, and we don't fully understand what his family means by this. This was actually something that was stated in his obituary. And one of his sisters also brought up in his eulogy as well,
It was in a witness impact statement during the bond hearing. She said this.
Okay. Thank you for the correction. But yeah, he would, according to them, sometimes show up to family dinner with no socks or sleeves on his shirt because he had to, quote, make an emergency bathroom stop along the way. And yeah, we're not totally sure what they mean by this, but it sounds like kind of just an inside family joke. But he would often call family members as well whenever he rolled his ATV and needed to have some help getting unstuck. And as he grew into adulthood, Eric got involved in construction and eventually ran his own general contracting firm, which he was very successful with. Due to this success, he was able to finance his other passion of being an outdoorsman and a hunter. He was described as an excellent archer and marksman, and he acquired multiple trophy animals, which, can't lie, don't love that. But he did that on his various trips around the world, including Africa, Mexico, Canada, and across the United States. And it was through the contracting work that he met a Home Depot sales associate, Kouri Richins, who would eventually and ultimately change his life.
Which Kouri would work at Home Depot at the checkout line. Be like, where's the light bulbs? Be like, I don't know. Now, Kouri's early life is much less straightforward and largely comes from an account she wrote, mind you, during a 2021 wellness retreat. She was born on April 20th, 1990, to an unnamed father and her mother, Lisa Darden. She had 2 brothers, Ronnie and DJ, and the 3 of them remained close throughout her life. Her parents also had children from prior relationships, and some would help Kouri's mother raise the younger kids. Kouri's childhood is described as itinerant, as her family moved to 17 different states due to her parents' work. And while it's unclear exactly what her parents did, she wrote that her father was a successful engineer. But he went to prison when Kouri was just 6 years old. And again, according to Kouri, her father was driving while heavily intoxicated and passed out at the wheel. He swerved his vehicle and struck a police officer who was in the process of making a traffic stop, which obviously that's going to land you in prison. However, there is no further documentation available for this incident, and it's unclear if the officer was killed as a result of this accident. It's also possible, again, this is coming from Kouri and without documentation to back this up, is it possible this was embellished in some way? Was it a cop? Was it as bad as she sort of wrote? We're not entirely sure. But following this incident, Kouri's mother, Lisa, divorced her father and moved the children to Utah in 2000. And describing her mother, Kouri wrote, Kouri's mom, who today is her best friend, had her own addiction. She is a compulsive gambler. Kouri remembered spending weekends in casino hotel rooms while her mother gambled away their family wealth, house, and cars. At the age of 17, Kouri graduated from high school and set her sights on attending Weber State University. And while receiving her bachelor's degree in healthcare administration, Kouri worked as a sales associate at the local Home Depot, where, of course, she had frequent run-ins with Eric. They initially met in 2009, and after a couple encounters at the checkout line, Eric developed a crush on Kouri. However, he was rather bashful towards her and had to have a friend run in to get her number for him. But after that initial awkwardness, the couple really hit it off. And as the two grew closer, Kouri naturally feared that Eric would meet her older brothers. However, both DJ and Ronnie expressed that Eric fit right in with their family dynamic. During Kouri's sophomore year, she got pregnant with their first son, and she explained that this was unexpected, and even that her and Eric's relationship had become very rocky. She wrote, once the baby gets here, I'll be happy and everything will be fine. According to her written account, she gave birth to their first son, Carter, in 2012, although there were some sources out there that said she had him in 2013. But then she graduated from college that same year and then married Eric in 2013. Now, it's important to outline right here the agreement that the couple signed in their prenup. It detailed several assets that would remain in Eric's ownership if they ever divorced. However, and this is a key detail, it states that Kouri could claim ownership of some of his assets if, quote, Eric should die prior to Kouri while the two are lawfully married. So remember that. As the two continued to grow their family, having their second son, Ashton, in 2015, friends and family said that fatherhood came easy to Eric, and the boys really idolized their dad. The couple settled down in the small city of Camas, Utah, about 42 miles east of downtown Salt Lake City. And while Camas is designated as a city, it's a pretty small one with a population of just 2,092 people. Its main industries were cattle ranching and lumber, making it a familiar place considering Eric's background and childhood. And Eric's success also flourished, especially as his contracting business began to focus on stonemasonry. Meanwhile, Kouri started a business of her own, launching a real estate firm focused on buying and flipping houses for profit. Her marketing director and close friend Greg Hall described her as an intelligent person with good common sense, which, questionable on that there, Greg. He said Kouri was a brilliant young lady. On average, Kouri was working on 3 homes at a time, creating a constant rotation of listings as she used funds from prior sales to purchase new homes. And Eric's business flourished during this time, and it was through his success that the family could live very well. According to those who knew them, the Richins bought and spent as they wanted.
However, while their family appeared to be happy and healthy on the outside, their relationship was, according to Kouri, in dire shape. Kouri began attending graduate school in 2016, stating that this will fill the hole and make me happy, but it didn't. Okay. For one, she believed that Eric had become absent from the family, even though the boys still idolized him, and his side of the family still believed he was an excellent father. However, Kouri pointed to Eric's globe-trotting hunting trips, which kept him away from the family for 4 to 5 months a year, which is pretty intense. Eric also developed chronic pain as a result of his labor and mainly used THC gummies and occasionally prescription medication to handle that pain. And Kouri stated that he didn't always purchase these substances from reputable sources and had even asked friends and family if they had any extra pain pills lying around. However, it's important to note his family has disputed this claim, and they believed that Eric's self-medication was recreational at best and that it did not remove him from his fatherly or professional duties. In 2017, Kouri had their third son, Weston, and according to her own written document, her life spiraled downhill. While Kouri doesn't specifically know any individual factors that led to this spiral in the document, we can point to several other developments in her professional and personal life that would help explain this statement. For one, while Eric's contracting business kept the family happy and wealthy, there are some things in life that I simply cannot live without, especially as a Taurus who loves being comfortable. And there are things in life that I find are worth spending the money on, and a good blanket is one of them. Now, you guys know how much I love Lola blankets, or maybe you don't know because Lola is a new sponsor to Mile Higher, but I'm sure you've seen how often or pretty much actually every episode, I am sitting here with a Lola blanket. And we have gotten endless comments asking what blanket we use, what blanket I'm cuddling up in. And it is my Lola, of course. These are the best blankets in the world. And you are hearing that from the blanket queen herself. I am telling you, I cannot get enough of these. I sleep with the Lola blanket every single night, even in the summer. And yes, sometimes I get hot and I kick it off during the night, but I always start with it. And my, bedtime TV time always includes my Lola. Now, Lola offers so many different colors and styles, so many beautiful designs and prints, even really something for everyone in every home, every style of decor. It's machine washable. This thing is heavy duty. It's double hemmed. It's built to last for years, making it a truly meaningful long-term gift for anyone in your life. Lola is the world's #1 blanket, crafted with ultra soft luxury faux fur and signature 4-way stretch. You will obsess over it as soon as you touch it. And it stays flawless, you guys. I have washed ours at home so many times now because I have kids. We have 2 on the couch. We used to have just 1, but my daughter was always fighting me for it, so I had to get another for the couch. And I've washed it so many times, obviously, because she spills like juice and snacks on it all the time. And it stays flawless. No shedding, no pilling, no delicate care worries, which makes it a gift that people are going to enjoy, for years to come. And it's not just a blanket, it's really a home upgrade gift. It instantly elevates any space, making it feel warm, cozy, styled. Lola has over 20,000 5-star reviews. Thousands of people are gifting it, loving it for themselves, talking about it. There's a reason that everyone calls it the world's #1 blanket. It comes in a range of sizes. I have the large. I think it's perfect for cozying up solo or with someone else. I mean, it's plenty big. And then the XL is just massive. They call it the biggest blanket on the internet. And they also make weighted blankets for that calming, therapeutic vibe. And do we have a deal for you folks? For a limited time, you can get 40% off of select Lola blanket products with code MILEHIGHER at checkout. Just head to lolablankets.com and use code MILEHIGHER. After your purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them, so please support our show and let them know we sent you. Wrap yourself in luxury with Lola blankets. Kouri's house flipping business was totally underwater. At one point, she was nearly $8 million in debt. And this is just mind-blowing and very confusing.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all.
No.
How are you making any profit if you're in that much debt?
Yeah. So while some people saw this debt as proof that she was in a desperate financial situation, others have tried to write it off. They explain that the debt was only part of the business model for flipping houses. You go into debt to purchase the home, and then you recoup the cash and hopefully some profit once the home is flipped and sold. However, this debt is usually in the hundreds of thousands, not around 8 million. I mean, it just is absolutely wild. Kouri was particularly interested in high-end real estate, which would put her in more debt than other house flippers, of course, but still, she owed an enormous amount of money.
I have so many questions around this because
me too.
How is she continuing to get further and further into debt? And, I don't know the finances of her company, and I think she had some investors and things like that working with her, but it just seems like she took big gambles.
Oh, yeah, to say the least.
On very, very expensive properties, hoping to cash out with huge payouts once she flipped them. But that's an immense amount of debt to go into for a flipping business.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've ever seen Flip or Flop on HGTV, you'd never hear them talking about millions and millions of dollars And
No.
again, they're not necessarily always going after the luxury real estate, but it seems like if you're just starting out and you're new to the real estate business,
not a
you'd start
great-
small
Right.
and not go straight to the multi-million-dollar homes and hope you can flip those. And those are much, much harder to flip than, more normal houses. So,
Well, Kouri wanted it all, man. She wanted to live that luxurious life herself. She definitely was driven by money.
and it
and
seems like she got
had
some
big
bad
dreams.
advice from some people.
Probably, or it was just her own dumbass decisions, but who
Well,
really
I question
knows?
this Greg Hall guy
Yeah.
who's like, she's a brilliant young lady,
I
$8 million
know.
in debt.
Okay, Greg. And
Great common sense.
not to mention everything else that she ends up doing.
Yeah.
Not much common sense coming from Kouri. But between 2015 and 2017, Kouri began taking money from Eric's personal and business accounts to help finance her own business. And while Eric was sometimes aware of the help he was giving her, Kouri often did so without his knowledge or his consent and would forge his fucking signature. Just diabolical. In 2018, Kouri obtained her master's degree in human resources and perhaps more importantly, discovered that Eric had been cheating. Now, Eric's family, it's important to note, disputed this claim and said that the family began attending counseling sessions to try and save their marriage, but they maintained that there was no infidelity on Eric's part. And there's definitely been a lot of, dispute happening around this claim from multiple people. But perhaps Kouri's own words can help clear up this confusion, as her 2021 wellness retreat document stated that Eric had been emotionally cheating on Kouri, but never mentioned that his extramarital relationship became physical. While we don't know any other details of this alleged affair or what the emotional aspect actually, entailed, we do know that this marked yet another major turning point in their relationship. So then, in March of 2019, Kouri opened a bank account in Eric's name without his knowledge or consent. Just another brilliant move by her. The account itself had a revolving line of credit, and she borrowed $250,000. She did this with a deed of trust, which Kouri had, of course, forged Eric's signature on. In September of 2020, Eric learned that Kouri had withdrawn $100,000 from his bank accounts and borrowed an additional $30,000 on his credit cards. She had borrowed additional cash using a fraudulent power of attorney. According to Eric's sister, Katie, he confronted Kouri over her essentially stealing money from him, and Kouri promised to pay him back. However, of course, she never did.
Yeah, I mean, and understanding the financial underlayment of the relationship, I think it becomes very clear that things are not good. They're not communicating. They're not on the same page. And what it seems to me is, as soon as Kouri either found out or felt like Eric was emotionally having an affair with somebody, she immediately started kind of writing him off and just maybe even get back at him, just start stealing from him. And again, they're married, so it's like, and I don't know what their relationship from like, seems like things were pretty kind of kept separate.
Yeah.
Which obviously.
Well, they're spending nearly half the year apart too.
Yeah. And so it seems like Eric kind of had his assets separate and he does for sure have them separate later on. But it seems like, she's like, well, I'm married to him, so I'm entitled to those things, even though they have this prenuptial agreement. But it seems like she's just like, oh, I'm not a fan of this guy anymore because he's, cheating on me, and I'm going to just start stealing from him. And, to start going around and taking cash and, starting new accounts with his name in order to leverage credit lines. I mean, that's all shady.
Very much so.
But Katie stated that Kouri had stolen or misused nearly $500,000, so $500,000 from Eric, excluding the money he knowingly gave her to support her business. So Eric was already nice enough to support his wife and give her money for her business, and then behind his back, she's continuing to take more. In October 2020, Eric consulted a divorce lawyer and an estate planning lawyer. He amended his will and then formed the Eric Richins Living Trust, which placed his estate under his sister's control for the benefit of his 3 sons. So it's like Eric's already seeing where this is going. He's already planning his exit move from the marriage, and he wants to make sure he protects, his assets as well as his kids' futures. He also transferred his partnership interest in his business to his trust and designated the trust as the beneficiary of his $500,000 life insurance policy as opposed to Kouri. According to Katie, Eric had done this without Kouri's knowledge. So they're both kind of going rogue and, starting that separation process. And then if Kouri hadn't yet engaged in enough financial malfeasance, on January 1st, 2022, she changed the beneficiary of Eric's $2 million life insurance policy to herself without his authorization, which is a huge no-no. And of course, she forged his signature. The original beneficiary was Eric's business partner, and when the business partner became aware of this change, he was restored as the beneficiary, and I'm sure he was not happy about that, and neither was Eric. However, this was merely the first step in the plot Kouri had undertaken to solve her financial woes once and for all. And now, depending on who you ask, Kouri's attempts on Eric's life stretch back to a vacation the couple took together to Greece in 2019. In Eric's family's version of events, he fell violently ill after Kouri gave him a drink, a foreboding incident considering what was to come. However, according to Ronnie, this wasn't true at all. Eric's illness during the vacation stemmed simply from a misunderstanding. He had been on a new medication and wasn't supposed to drink alcoholic beverages, and while they were at a restaurant, he had asked the waitress for a virgin drink. However, she accidentally brought him one with alcohol, and Eric then drank it and had a mild reaction, but later that evening, he was completely fine.
I don't know. That whole story is sketchy to me as well because, and I guess it's possible, of course, but I think for most people, you could tell if there was alcohol in your drink, right? I mean,
For sure.
I can, right?
I mean, there's some drinks sometimes hard to
mask it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was that much and enough to make him that sick, well, I guess I don't, with the medication and everything. It just.
But what did Kouri ask
right.
the waitress to send him an alcoholic drink instead?
Possibly.
Or was it just, language barrier and she misunderstood what a virgin.
Or it wasn't because of alcohol at all. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. Who knows? That's all just speculation, but.
Yeah. And it's, this whole story is disputed by both sides, but ultimately it wasn't reported on until the trial. And also that Eric wasn't the only one with alleged issues with fidelity because Kouri had an affair as well. And hers wasn't just emotional, it was also physical. So let's talk about who she had an affair with. She had originally met Robert Josh Grossman, which he went by Josh, sometime around 2015 when he answered a help wanted ad for one of Kouri's house flipping projects. And while he mainly lived out of state, Josh and Kouri communicated occasionally throughout the next few years until he ended up moving out to Utah in 2020. And he started doing and continuing to do handyman work for Kouri at her various real estate ventures. And while the two did not have any formal contractual agreements, Kouri paid Josh large sums of money and allowed him to stay in various properties rent-free. They also began their affair around the time that he moved to Utah, meeting at various rental properties Josh was staying in for romantic evenings and, of course, sex. He would later say that the relationship wasn't just physical and that he was actually falling for her and confessed his love for her, saying that he was head over heels for her and that she felt the same way towards him. According to Josh, Kouri gifted him 2 trucks and a vacation to the island of St. Martin as a birthday present. Meanwhile, of course, she's in millions of dollars of debt and actively stealing and probably using the money from Eric to pay for her lovely Josh and his gifts. She and Josh, though, would never end up going on that vacation.
Now, the two of them would communicate daily, but it wasn't always about their affair. They often usually spoke about business over the phone. Josh stated that while their feelings for one another were intense, the relationship was on and off over the next few years. And any future committed relationship between them was more of a fantasy than a potential reality. When reviewing their communications from November 2021 to April of 2022, their messages ranged from expressions of love and discussions about divorce plans for a future together. But there were also questions about past drug use and mainly the real estate business. The pair occasionally went on short lovers' trips together, and Kouri had booked a stay at the Uinta Mountains with Josh for spring of 2022. And while some would point to this trip as Kouri's relationship with Josh as a large motive for what was to come, Others stated that her affair didn't have anything to do with her relationship with Eric, which, what? Of course it does. Anyway, however, even in her marriage, Kouri had big things planned. In late January 2022, Kouri contacted her friend and house cleaner, Carmen Lauber. Now, Carmen's account has come under major scrutiny for reasons that we will go over later on. We'll be coming back to Carmen a lot. But in addition, the majority of messages between Carmen and Kouri regarding this account could not be retrieved. So most of their content was conveyed orally by Carmen. Regardless, the two of them exchanged around 800 messages between January and March of 2022, so in like 2-ish months. Now, it's unclear why the cell phone providers were unable to retrieve these messages, aside from the times that they were sent and who received them. And we've been trying to make sense of this, but according to available sources, the two exchanged messages via traditional text channels and deleted messages from both their phones, which is possibly why the contents of the messages couldn't be received. But even then, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But this has come up in another case I've covered recently. I'm always shocked to hear that, especially post like 2020. It's pretty bizarre.
I did want to say, because I used to work at a mobile center. That was my department when I worked at Best Buy way back when. And I think it's still the case, or it was as of 2025, as far as I'm aware, that like Verizon, AT&T, and I think T-Mobile don't actually store your text data. So if you do delete it, it's there until, because you can get like the retrieve like option on like iPhone and stuff like that, where you can still recover messages after like 30 days or something, or before 30 days.
Right.
But once those are gone, they actually aren't stored on any servers or anything, which might, if they were using them, might explain why they couldn't pull them back up.
That is so weird. In most cases, they've been able to pull text messages for, I guess maybe it was because they both deleted it on both devices. That's why. I don't know.
And they could also be using, a service like something that's end-to-end encrypted, where like it's also stored on the end of the application, like WhatsApp is a good example, or Facebook Messenger does that now too, where the burden isn't actually on, say, Verizon, the burden is on Meta, who is notoriously not great at providing legal documentation for people.
Right, yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if like it's because they consider that their data, so.
Yeah. Well, clearly it was for some reason. It's really frustrating to see that.
Throughout my life, I've been told I have a great smile. Maybe I don't, but that's just what people tell me. And you know what? It wasn't always a great smile. In fact, when I was younger, I went through the grueling process of getting braces through middle school. And man, I do not miss those days. And you know what? Even with braces, years later, I have not been wearing a retainer at all. I think I lost it probably like 10 years ago. And so my teeth over time have started to shift a little bit. And specifically on my bottom teeth, I've got some crowding going on. It's difficult to floss between some of them because they're just so close to each other. And so when Smile Set reached out and was like, hey, you want to give us a try? I was totally down, because who doesn't want to improve their smile? And so I'm going to go through the process of Smile Set clear aligners. And what's great about them is it's a fraction of the cost of what braces will cost you, or even what other clear aligner companies out there will cost you. Smile Set delivers doctor-prescribed clear aligners for just $1,295, which is 60% less than traditional braces or in-office treatment. I think I paid $6,000 for my braces back in the day, and I'm sure it's probably more expensive now. But a licensed doctor reviews your case and builds your custom treatment plan. So what happens is once you get started on the process, they send you a home impression kit, which I have right here. I haven't done my impressions yet, but I wanted to show you what it looks like before I went and used it. And then I'll also insert some footage of me actually taking my impressions. But you've probably been to the dentist before. You maybe have had an aligner made before. It's very, very simple, step-by-step process. And you do it all at home. And then you take some pictures through the Smile Set app. And then you put it in the mail, send it back to them. and then they go and make your clear aligners. It's really that simple. It's painless, and you don't have to go anywhere. You can do it all from the comfort of your home. They really make the process simple, and your whole treatment is monitored by a doctor, all monitored remotely through the SmileSet app, which just makes it easy. SmileSet has treatment options and payment plans that fit around your life. Nighttime only aligners mean you can straighten your teeth while you sleep, and monthly payments start at just $89. Over 2 million smiles treated with this technology. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee after starting treatment. But like I said, they make it effortless, pain-free. You've got all of your molds in here. You just put it in the little mouthpieces. You take the impressions of your teeth, and then you put it back in the box and ship it back to them. It's that simple. And you know what? I'm all for making my smile better, because who doesn't want a better smile? It's never perfect. So check out SmileSet. They're going to help you get to the smile you want. Visit smileset.com/milehigher to get $500 off your aligner treatment and finally make someday happen. That's smileset.com/milehigher for $500 off. Smileset.com/milehigher.
But anyway, Kouri reached out to Carmen numerous times and requested that she acquire a prescription for pain medication. Kouri explained that the recipient was an investor who had a back injury. Yeah, very professional work there, Kouri. And obviously that is not the real reason anyway, but still. Kouri believed that Carmen could acquire the pills for her because she was a recovering addict. Great work there, requesting a recovering addict to get you pain pills. Excellent job there. But not only that, she was a convicted felon and was then on probation. So even more terrible reasons to ask her to get involved in
Well,
this.
I think it's like, is Kouri tied into the drug scene in the area? You know,
No,
it's
of
like
course not.
she probably was like, hey, do you know where I could get
Right.
drugs
I'm
from?
just saying it's just fucked up as a human being.
Oh, yeah, to put her in that predicament for sure.
Yeah. But Carmen acquired the hydrocodone pills and left them at a home in Midway that Kouri was flipping. And upon retrieval, Kouri picked up the pills and left cash. On February 11th, 2022, Kouri once again reached out to Carmen, this time requesting a stronger medication. In her own words, Kouri said that she was seeking some of the Michael Jackson stuff. Very suspicious right there. Mm-hmm. Tells you her thought process early on when requesting the Michael Jackson stuff. But she acquired 15 to 30 fentanyl pills, which she paid $900 for.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of fentanyl.
That certainly is. Then on February 14th, Valentine's Day, Kouri made what some consider to be the first or second attempt on Eric's life. Kouri brought Eric a breakfast sandwich that day and then left the house. And it's unclear what she was doing that day, but Josh Grossman has confirmed that they had planned to meet. And after one bite, just one bite of this sandwich, Eric immediately broke out into hives and could not breathe. And Eric, was home alone. Kouri was out of the house, so he went through his children's medical supplies and used one of his son's EpiPens. And after suppressing the reaction, Eric slept and later told a friend that he thought Kouri had tried to poison him. He even told his family that if anything happened to him, it was Kouri's fault. In his own words, she was trying to kill him.
As you can imagine, Kouri's friends and family have pushed back against this as well, saying that, Eric just simply had an allergic reaction to something in the sandwich. Okay. And it was accidental, just like the incident in Greece. They pointed out that Eric coached a Little League game later that day, and in some versions of this event, it was stated that Eric became sick after dinner, but it seems to be based on earlier reporting, and after the trial, it was agreed that it was after the breakfast sandwich. Regardless of the Valentine's Day incident, Kouri once again reached out to the housekeeper on February 26th, this time requesting another $900 worth of fentanyl pills. Carmen acquired these pills and left them at the Midway house, where Kouri picked them up and left behind a check for $1,300. And it sounds like this extra payment left behind stemmed from wages for her housekeeping work for Kouri. But then during the evening of March 3rd, 2022, Kouri and Eric decided to celebrate. Kouri had decided to close on a massive property located near Park City in the rural community of Heber City at Midway. The mansion's prime location put it near the Sundance Film Festival and Utah's most lucrative ski resort. And this property sat on a massive 10-acre estate with the house itself measuring 20,000 square feet with a separate detached guest house, which is probably at least like another 5,000 square feet. I mean, this thing is a McMansion. Like, this thing's massive. The property had started construction in 2017, but was quickly abandoned. And that was, of course, until Kouri rediscovered it. To her, it seemed like the dream property. Although unfinished, it came with a hefty price tag of nearly $4 million. However, after Kouri consulted with a financial advisor and investors, they estimated that the house could be flipped for $12 million. So like 16 mil purchase price on that, somewhere around there, to make that 12 million profit.
Well,
or they sell it for 12 million and
I believe it's
8 million profit.
I think it's 8 million profit, but that's also not considering the amount of she'll have to throw into finishing the property.
There's at least like 4 million just to finish that.
Right.
thing.
It's fucked up.
Yeah, I'm like, how does this even seem like it? There was a reason it was abandoned. Like, it costs way too much. Someone overdid it with that property. But now here, once again, we have some conflicting arguments. While Kouri and her family believe that Eric fully supported the plan and had been intimately involved in the financials of such a deal, his family remembered differently. They believed that Eric ultimately supported Kouri through the deal, but had voiced that he was never in favor of closing on an unfinished property. They believe that the couple had numerous arguments surrounding the deal, ultimately stemming from Kouri's past financial malfeasance. Regardless, they decided to celebrate. Kouri had closed on the property and was meeting the next day with real estate agents and investors to sign off on all of the documents. However, Kouri had also been in contact with Josh throughout that week, planning their own celebration for her massive real estate deal. She reached out to him, said, "Can I try Friday? Give me a few days. Hang in there until then, please." Earlier on March 3rd, Josh responded, "I will happily take any bit of time I get with you, but if we're going to celebrate it, I want to celebrate. Blow up balloons, champagne. I want to be there when the news comes in, seeing and hearing your reaction, waiting to pounce on you with hugs and kisses, the confetti and music, and woof."
Oh my God. Oh, that was a wild message.
Josh was excited.
Yeah, clearly.
And of course, they had their trip to the Uintah Mountains later that month as well. After a few hours, Josh double texted Kouri, "Don't be mad," which prompted her to respond at around 8:30 p.m. writing, "I'm not mad at you at all. Just haven't had a second to text. Give me a few. Love you." Meanwhile, back at the house, Kouri fixed Eric a Moscow Mule in celebration, and according to her, it was Eric's idea. Then he took a THC gummy, as something he always did, for his bedtime routine, and then went to sleep. Kouri, however, went to sleep with her 9-year-old as he had been suffering from nightmares. In the early morning hours of March 4th, 2022, Kouri said she woke up at around 3:22 a.m. and found Eric deceased at the foot of their bed. And upon discovering him, she called 911. And we're going to take a listen at some of that 911 call and pay close attention to the portion where the 911 operator attempts to coach Kouri through doing CPR. And this 911 call gets scrutinized heavily during the trial, and you'll know why more later, but let's listen to it.
911, what's the address of the emergency? My husband's not breathing, he's cold. Okay, what's the address? 282 Willow Court. 282 Willow Court? Uh-huh. Okay, what's the good phone number in case we get disconnected? 435 671 4987. Okay, it's going to be in Francis. Okay, tell me exactly what happened. I don't know. I just came in. I was sleeping with my kids. Okay, I can't understand you. I need you to take a deep breath. What's going on? I don't know. I was sleeping in with my kids. I just came in our bed, and I turned over, and he's just cold. He's just cold. Who's cold? My husband. I turned the light on. And he's not breathing? No. He's not breathing?
No.
I need you to confirm it for me. Is he not breathing?
No.
Okay, can you do CPR? No, I don't know how.
Pay attention to this.
You don't know, I'm going to tell you how to. Are you willing to do CPR? Yeah. Okay. If there's a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it. No, you don't have one available? Okay. I'm sending the paramedics to help you now. Stay on the line and I'll tell you exactly what to do next, okay? Okay, are you right by your husband right now? Yes, he's so pale. His mouth is so big. Okay, listen carefully. Are you able to lay him on the floor or the ground? On the ground? I'm just shaking. I can't touch him. I can't. You can do it. You can do it. You need to calm down, okay? He's yellow. We need to help them. I can guide you through CPR. Take a deep breath for me. I'm here with you. He doesn't have a pulse. He doesn't have a pulse? No. There's no pulse. Okay, I'm here with you. I'm here with you. We need to get him help. If you need to put me on speaker, put me on speaker. I'm gonna guide you through CPR, okay? Okay. Tell me when you've done that. Okay, I'm ready. You're ready? Okay, he's on the floor? He's on the bed. Okay, are you able by any chance to move him on the floor?
So notice they asked her if she was on speaker and she said yes. We're going to circle back to that here in a bit. But shortly after, Kouri informed both her mother, Lisa, and Eric's family that something had happened to him. They rushed over and arrived after the paramedics and officers had entered the home. Kouri had informed officials that she had suspected Eric had suffered an aneurysm, which is just bizarre to have come up with that. Of all the possible things that could have happened to him, for her to be so set on an aneurysm, and there's no sign of an aneurysm. There's no giveaway that that's what happened, but she's already trying to plant that narrative in their heads. She stated that, and this is, I guess, her reasoning for the aneurysm, but she stated the previous day that he looked horrible and complained about a pain in his chest. Now, something officers and Eric's family initially found strange was Kouri's timeline of events in the first incident report. Since her initial suspicion was aneurysm, they imagined her version of events would begin with her walking into the bedroom and discovering Eric on the bed. But instead, her report begins with her and Eric sharing a drink at 9:15 the night before. And while that may have seemed like a simple detail, this report would later be subjected to heavy scrutiny. Meanwhile, as Eric's family and Kouri's family gathered in her living room and spoke to police, Kouri is heard on the body cam saying that the boys are in their rooms and knew something was happening. At least one of the boys was listening through his bedroom door. While Katie would later say that Kouri did not comfort her, according to her brothers and body cam footage, they're consoling each other on the couch. They're hugging. There's one point where Katie walks in, and Kouri kneels down on the floor with her and is hugging her there as well. It doesn't really matter much, especially if Kouri is trying to cover up the murder of Eric at this point, but it's still important to mention because it disagrees with Katie's version of events, so the defense really tried to lean heavily on this. And while paramedics assumed that Eric had died due to an aneurysm, they did discover an empty hydrocodone bottle in the bedroom with an expiration date that was back in 2020. And what's crucial is that at this point, investigators weren't looking at it as a crime scene. While the pill bottle was noticed and recorded, it wasn't taken into evidence or analyzed in any way. And among the other crucial pieces of evidence that weren't analyzed, the cups that Kouri had used to serve those Moscow mules the night before. They had been placed in the dishwasher the night before, after they drank them, and they were washed by the nanny the following morning when she came. However, Kouri's digital activity in the house after Eric died was suspicious, if not outright incriminating. At 8:29 a.m., Eric's body was finally taken from the home, and Kouri's phone was unlocked, and these 3 gifts were accessed.
Pull them up.
Pull them up. They're just absolutely wild. And if you are listening to this episode, I would Google them up as well and just take a look because they're bizarre. Okay, let's take a look here. So this first one is, who's that actor? Tom would know. Top.
Kevin Spacey?
No. Top left.
Oh,
Dumb and Dumber.
I forget.
Yeah,
What's it? It's
Yeah.
like Jeff something, isn't it?
Yeah.
I forget.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but yeah, it's from Dumb and Dumber.
Wiping his
He's
face
wiping
with
his
money.
tears with money.
Yeah.
Jeff Daniels.
That's
Jeff
what it is.
Daniels.
Yep.
Jeff Dunham. I was like, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that thought too. And then, yes, the second one is Kevin Spacey, and it says idiots everywhere. And that's probably from, what, House of Cards, maybe?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then the last one is Trump, and it says, I'm really rich. So these 3 gifts are very telling. And yeah, she was accessing these as Eric's
Hours
body
after, yeah.
is being taken from the home.
Yeah, definitely questionable at the very least.
Yeah. So while the language surrounding access is obviously ambiguous, it seems as though Kouri either sent or received these images as paramedics were literally wheeling his body out of their home. However, we have no idea whether Kouri was the one who actually accessed the gifts. My suspicion is...
What, the kids access it?
Yeah, who else would have been doing that? Unless, yeah. I mean, it really does seem like it was her. I think it was her. Do you guys agree?
I agree. I get that there's like no way to, unless there's
right.
a video recording going on to tell for sure, but
yeah,
it's on her phone.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
I think it definitely was her. I'm interested to know who, she would have been sending them to,
Right,
or
me
who
too.
would have sent them to her if it wasn't her.
Could it have been Josh?
It could have, but as we'll speak on later, he kind of doesn't exactly help her at all in this case. I don't want to give away too much, but perhaps. But we also do know the other messages that they sent one another, and the gifts were not included in those messages.
True. I mean, I guess I was thinking more if she had sent them regarding the
house,
the sale of the house,
right?
That but like the idiots everywhere. Who knows? It's so bizarre. I mean, even if obviously we believe that she killed him, I think it's very obvious. But even in that situation, you'd think you'd have a little emotion going on seeing your husband's body, the father of your children, wheeled out of the house, and gifts would be the last thing on your mind. You would hope.
Unless you've been plotting this for a long, long time and just waiting for the moment.
Well, if you've been plotting for a long time, you're an idiot as well, because why would you start accessing these types of things while this is all going on at the house? She's just stupid. I mean, obviously, the amount of things that
she's a brilliant young woman with lots of common sense.
Yep.
That's why.
Okay. So at some point that morning, Josh texted Kouri and asked her what was going on. She eventually responded, saying only that Eric passed away and talked later. As the day progressed, she would once again repeat the suspicion that he had died of an aneurysm. However, the aneurysm lie would not be the only story for very long. While some sources state that an autopsy wasn't performed until April of 2022, forensic pathologist Pamela Sue Ulmer testified that she performed Eric's autopsy at around 7:30 a.m. on March 5th. She stated that he showed no signs of fatal heart disease, stroke, or any natural causes of death. However, his toxicology results revealed a toxic fentanyl level that was 5 times the lethal dose. And it's unlikely that anyone, even someone with a history of using the drug, would have been able to survive that dosage.
Which, if we look at it the other way, it would imply, was Eric trying to take his own life with that much fentanyl?
Well, that's what Kouri wants people to believe.
I mean,
one of the things she wants.
But also, when you find out she's spending $900 on fentanyl,
right,
and it's 5 times the lethal dose.
Yeah, they may have been able to push that more if there wasn't evidence of her buying it. However, it's important to note that the manner of death could not be determined, meaning the possibility of homicide was not listed on Eric's official autopsy.
That's really curious to me.
I agree.
Trying to think, why is that?
I don't know.
Why could they not determine cause of death? I mean, I guess they're undecided, but
I mean, the 5 times the lethal dose would be.
I guess it makes sense that they're keeping it sort of undetermined because they're not for sure one way or another. But
wouldn't they be pretty damn sure if you had that high of a dose in your system?
Well, like I said, I think they don't want to rule it suicide or rule it, because it's like what possibilities are there? It's like it's homicide or it's suicide or it's accidental.
Yeah.
From like recreational usage. So I think it was it's like we don't know. There's not enough evidence there at this point to rule it one way or another. But the good thing is that it left the door open for homicide still, rather than ruling it one way or another.
Yeah.
So things can continue to be investigated, which smart move on the medical examiner's part of not choosing one way or another.
It's also worth saying that this was kind of during the first big spike in like fentanyl consciousness, and people were finding it like underneath like door handles and stuff like that when it was becoming like a new, it's the wrong word, but a new drug in the U.S., especially in Colorado and Utah.
Yeah.
So like a gang member or just a criminal, I guess it doesn't really matter, but they had like, rubbed fentanyl under like the inside of somebody's like car door handle, so they didn't even realize that they had done anything, or because you can use it in so many different ways, it's almost impossible to detect. It's like, water was under my car, something like that, So they could have also left it open-ended because this was during the first, like I said, big kind of
like spike
awareness.
Yeah,
of it.
Yeah, that's a good point, because
may have been a little bit more cautious about.
It absorbs on touch. I mean, that's why
that's so terrifying.
There's cops that accidentally overdose on fentanyl when conducting searches on people and arrests, because
so scary.
It's just that lethal, and it just goes right through the skin. And so I don't know, but I'm glad they left it open because it allows them to continue investigating and looking at all the options here.
Right. But later, on March 5th, Kouri would officially close on the Midway mansion while still trying to get everything in order to sell the property she owned with Eric.
Because she's got her priorities straight.
Absolutely.
Man. Not let's console my kids and support my family. No, we got to close on this mansion.
Yep.
And then also, I need to get out of this house because I need to liquidate the funds in this too.
What if the biggest problem with supplements isn't what's in them? It's how well your body actually absorbs them. Most people assume that if you're taking supplements every day that you're getting the benefits, but that is not necessarily true. The reality is the vast majority of supplements have incredibly low absorption rates, meaning most of what people spend money on never actually gets used in the body, which is so annoying. So the absorption company is focused on solving that exact problem with pharmaceutical-grade absorption technology designed to help nutrients actually work. Because no matter how powerful a supplement is on paper, it doesn't matter if your body isn't actually absorbing it, right? The absorption company is singularly focused on the biggest problem in the supplement world, and that is absorption. The absorption company is focused on solving the biggest problem in supplements, low absorption. Most supplements out there absorb at less than 16%, which is just wild. And that means that over 84% of the supplements we take are completely wasted. And 77% of Americans take supplements daily. We spend $60 billion a year on supplements, which is just mind-blowing. And yet 95% of us are still nutrient deficient. The supplements we are all taking every day just do not absorb well enough to actually work. The absorption company uses cutting-edge technologies to make supplements with pharmaceutical-grade absorption, up to 149 times better than standard supplements. Absorption is the one thing that affects all others. No matter how powerful vitamin D, magnesium, CoQ10, or any other supplement could be, it only works if it absorbs. I currently take the Absorption Company's magnesium, and I have noticed such a big difference compared to the other magnesium brands that I've been taking over the years because I had no idea how low those were actually absorbing. And magnesium is just one of those things that I recommend to people all the time because it makes such a huge difference in a variety of areas in your life. So whether you're looking for a WLP1, magnesium, berberine, CoQ10, or dozens of other science-backed supplements, start taking supplements your body can actually absorb. Go to absorbmore.com and enter Mile Higher at checkout for 35% of your first order. That's absorbmore.com and enter Mile Higher at checkout for 35% off your first order.
However, the family would not be alerted to Eric's true cause of death until a month later on April 13th. And in the meantime, things became rather tense between Kouri and Eric's siblings. For one, they were operating under Eric's previous warning that if anything happened to him, they should immediately suspect Kouri. And of course, Eric had made a living trust without Kouri's knowledge, and Kouri was now trying to gain access to it. On March 6, 2022, as Kouri was attempting to find a way to sell the home they shared, she learned that Eric had included the house within that secret trust. Documents related to the trust and property were kept in a safe in Eric's home office, along with $165,000. Amy, Eric's sister, had come to the house to try to stop Kouri from accessing the safe after she had attempted to contact a locksmith to bust the safe open for her, stating that it's my house, so it's therefore my safe, and I'll drill into it if I want to. Amy informed Kouri that Eric had placed his assets into a secret trust, and when she told her this, Kouri lost it. She even swung at Amy and punched her in the neck. Amy then stormed out and called the cops, and Kouri was taken into custody on assault charges, pleading no contest a month later, which, come on, could you be any more fucking obvious on your motives here? Like, I just going after the money, trying to drill into his fucking safe. Come on, dude.
Such a fucking idiot.
It's just all about money here. And while Eric had created new life insurance policies after he began to suspect Kouri of financial malfeasance, she was able to collect nearly $1.4 million in life insurance payouts over the next year. And although Kouri had called off that romantic birthday trip to St. Martin with Josh, the two still went on that mountain retreat to the Uintas around 2 weeks after Eric's death. And Josh explained that to him, Kouri did not appear happy that Eric was dead and seemed like she had been grieving. He said this about some conversations on the trip. We sat there and talked quite a while. I had never seen her that way, obviously, and it was a heavy conversation, and I'm not used to that with her. She's not used to being open like that. Josh, who is a combat veteran who served in Iraq, and while they had never spoken about his wartime experiences, suddenly she asked if I had ever killed anybody. She asked me how it made me feel or something along those lines. And he said that at the time the question did not surprise him, as he did not suspect, of course, that Eric had been murdered, and thought that Kouri was just simply trying to change the conversation. And the two continued to see each other on and off for a few months, but eventually Kouri ended things between them, ultimately citing the grief that she was still experiencing from her husband's death. On April 13, 2022, authorities officially informed Kouri and Eric's families that he had died of a fentanyl overdose. And while certainly Kouri already knew this, it came as another level of confirmation for the Richins family that there was something suspicious about Eric's death. And for the police, this is when they started preliminary investigations, considering Eric's death as a possible homicide. Police, as part of a search warrant, seized Kouri's iPhone that same day and began to monitor her online activity, and of course took a look at her Google searches, and to many, they seemed damning. So let's take a look. Here's a full list of Kouri's incriminating Google searches alongside an article she read detailing how insurance payouts can be unaffected by different causes of death.
So we've got some really fantastic ones here. My personal favorite that I've talked about with you guys all day is luxury prisons for the rich in America.
Just excellent. Really, really good.
We also have 3 searches in a row here. How to erase a phone data permanently with EMI number. How to permanently delete information from an iPhone. How to permanently delete information from an iPhone remotely. And then, can cops force you to do a lie detector test?
Idiot. What happens if you are desired by... Wait, I can't read that. Detained. Oh. What happens if you are detained by never got Miranda rights?
Yes, that was one that she was like, if we don't know for sure, but when I read that, I suspect it was like, okay, if they detain me and they don't read me my Miranda rights, that's my get out of jail free.
Yeah,
that means
she's like,
I go
please
home.
don't ask me. What are you allowed to do inside, or what are you allowed inside Utah jails?
Can I bring my Chanel bag?
Oh, I thought that was actually one for a sec. That would have been good.
Two that I really like back to back. K.N. Richins Realty Net Worth, and then Kouri Richins Camus Net Worth.
Dude, she is so obsessed with herself. What prescription is used to stop alcoholics? How to delete Facebook. What is FBI analysis of electronics?
What is a white collar crime?
Idiot. What is considered a natural manner of death? Who determines cause of death on death certificate? Sorry, I'm reading these from really far away.
Just pulled up on your iPad.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah, I was like, why are you killing your eyes? Just pull it up on your own.
You know what, Josh? Sometimes my brain just isn't on.
I mean, I appreciate the effort, but
If Find My iPhone is off, is location still correct?
I mean, it's screaming paranoia.
Right.
So many.
And of course, one of them is also, how long does life insurance companies take to pay?
Oh, yeah. Yep. That's a big one. I've seen that one many times. What is the lethal dose of fentanyl? Look
Mhm.
at that. What is considered a lethal dose of fentanyl? Can manner of death be changed on a death certificate? Can my passcode or change my passcode on iPhone? What happens if you give Narcan to someone who doesn't need it? Is circumstances unknown an accident? What?
Yeah, she's looking up every angle here.
Yep. What does this say? Is iPhone ever wrong? Oh my God, she's such an idiot.
Oh yeah, is Find My iPhone ever wrong?
Is Find My iPhone ever wrong? Okay.
We're like one Google search away from how to get away with murder.
Yeah,
Literally. Yep. Women, Utah prison, Summit County District Attorney.
If I
And
get
cops
convicted in
uncovered
X
deleted
county,
message.
which prison will I end up in?
How to lock my iCloud.
Yeah.
Oh God.
This is
What a
all
dumb fuck. However, as far as the investigation was concerned, there was little traction made for the next year. Things moved pretty slow. And the main issue is that they could never track where the source of fentanyl was, or if Kouri was the one who dosed Eric with it. Again, Eric was self-medicating, and this was known to the authorities. There is a chance that he may have taken the fentanyl himself, just unaware of the amount he was taking, or maybe it was laced, something like that. Or as was occasionally suggested by Kouri herself, that this was a possible suicide attempt. And Kouri's family said that the next year was very hard on Kouri and the children. She appeared to them to be completely distraught and often lashed out at her boys, which from their later statements isn't shocking. And of course, they were really in need of a supportive mother during this time, and extra love and attention, care, and understanding, really, after losing their father, who they were so close and really just idolized. So in March of 2023, Kouri self-published the children's book, Are You With Me? The book depicted Eric as an angel who constantly watched over his boys during family events like Christmas and their sports games, and just the idea that when someone passes, their presence is really everywhere. And Ian and I were checking out the Goodreads reviews on this book, and there were some of them were post conviction.
Yes, I believe it has a 1.7 star rating on Goodreads right now.
That's still too high.
I know.
There was one that said it was 5 stars, but it said she killed it.
Damn.
We got a little laugh out of that one. But yeah, there were a lot of people giving it good ratings before, the news broke that Kouri was, suspected in the murder and everything.
Yeah.
And people seemed to be getting a lot of value out of the book, and it was doing well. She even was promoting it on a local Utah variety show. And this clip is so wild to watch in hindsight. Take a look.
Joining us now is author of Are You With Me, Kouri Richins, to share her 3 C's to helping kids cope with grief. And Kouri, I want to start with your story. What happened in your personal life?
So my husband passed away unexpectedly last year. So it's March 4th was a 1-year anniversary for us. And
The
I
nerve.
was 39. It completely took us all by shock. And we have 3 little boys, 10, 9, and 6. And, my kids and I kind of wrote this book on the different emotions and grieving processes that we've experienced last year, and hoping that it can kind of help other kids deal with this and kind of find happiness some way or another,
And to make sense and process, I'm
Yes.
sure. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you felt that going
Mhm.
through and trying to explain it and articulate it for you and your boys.
Yes, exactly. And so I've done I'm new to all of this, so kind of doing all, research and reading books and things to try and understand, not only how to grieve as a widow, as a wife, but also, with my kids, how to help them understand what just happened. And what I have kind of found is, as I mentioned, it's kind of the 3 C's is how I has visualize it, and it's connection, continuity, and care. And it's, making sure connection is the major one, and making sure that their spirit is always alive in your home, and memories are always brought up, and doing things that your loved ones love to do, whether it's riding bikes or their favorite dinner, and just constantly, talking about them. And
Kouri, do you mention at dinner, here's Dad, or Dad would like this meal, or Dad
Yes.
would,
Yeah.
let's bring Dad on a bike ride?
yeah, exactly. And it's, explaining to my kid, just because he's not present here with us physically, that doesn't mean his presence isn't here with us, and he's doing these things with us. And he's, here for birthdays, and he's here for Christmas, and, and it's just comforting to them to know that, they're not living this life alone. Like, Dad is still here. It's just in a different way.
Terrible.
It's tough to hear her talk.
Yeah, it is definitely hard to hear her talk. She seems very nervous, probably not just about being on TV, but because of what she did. The nerve of someone to get on TV and talk about this, and then just the fact that she, was like, how else can I monetize my husband's death? Let me make some more money off of this. She is so money focused to use her children's grief and the grief of others.
I didn't hear an ounce of care
No.
in anything she just said.
No.
I felt like, let me just say enough to hopefully sell my book. And that's it. There was no emotion. There was no, I miss my husband.
No, she had like a few, rehearsed lines that she was just kind of flipping through in her head, I think, to spit out in between every,
It's a lot of knows in there.
But yeah, while Kouri's family seemed to be getting back to somewhat of a normalish state, Eric's family, behind the scenes, was mounting their own investigation, hiring a private investigator. Great move for them. And police were about to get the information they needed when Carmen Lauber approached them and told them that she had purchased the fentanyl for Kouri. Obviously, this was a bombshell. Now, this information from Carmen came to light under circumstances that ultimately made her testimony highly controversial. She had violated her probation and was facing 7 years in prison for drug-related charges. Investigators with Summit County Sheriff's Office directly told her that this information would be her get-out-of-jail-free card, which was a big fuck up for them to have said that. I don't know. That's just so unprofessional. Whatever. I mean, we could go on about that. But still, Carmen's information was, as we laid out earlier, lined up with the fatal dosage used in Eric's murder and the timeline leading up to his death. Plus, as Carmen had agreed to take the stand, their case would now have a star witness. Prosecutors felt that they had a motive due to Kouri's monstrous debt and Eric's protection of his finances, and the means through Carmen's testimony. The only problem, again, was that they had no forensic evidence to physically prove that Kouri had intentionally put that fentanyl in Eric's Moscow Mule. Still, with Carmen's testimony, they had enough. On May 8th, 2023, Kouri was finally charged with aggravated murder and 3 counts of possession of a controlled substance in Eric's death. Kouri also faced federal drug charges for acquiring the fentanyl. Now, this was, a year and a month later? 13 months?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so quite some time, but, justice was in the works at this point, which was great.
If you know me at all, you know your boy loves to eat. And I am a carnivore through and through. It's just how I was made. And you know what? I can't go a single meal without some type of protein on my plate. But these days, I've gotten very picky about the quality of my protein. I don't want to just put any protein in my mouth. I want to make sure it's the best quality protein money can buy. And that's exactly what ButcherBox delivers straight to my house every single month. ButcherBox delivers 100% grass-fed beef, organic chicken, wild-caught seafood, none of that farm stuff, and so much more. All sourced to standards you can actually see, taste, and smell. They've already done the research and all the tough sourcing decisions, so all you have to do is decide what's for dinner. Because these days, man, the grocery stores be rough. I mean, I'll sometimes go and get meat straight from the meat counter, and I'll bring it home, and voila, underneath that steak is a bunch of fat, and they're just not trimmed right. They're not as tender. And you know what? Every single cut of meat from ButcherBox is perfectly clean, ready to go on the skillet, on the grill, on the flat top, whatever you're cooking with. It's just simple. It's easy. It shows up at your door. You throw it in the fridge or freezer, and you've got all your proteins you need. I must say, I'm really impressed with the wild-caught seafood from ButcherBox. It doesn't have that fishiness to it. The color is vibrant. It looks like it was out in the wild swimming around, just the other day. It is delicious, delectable. Everything I've had from ButcherBox, I've really enjoyed their New York strips. I love a good New York strip, like a 9-ounce New York strip. On the Traeger, oh, it's so good. My family loves it, served it up over the 4th of July weekend, get the steaks going, make some hibachi on the Blackstone. And ButcherBox always delivers, always impresses. It's really like having a neighborhood butcher that you wish you had. I live in a newer part of town and there's no butcher. There's no local meat shop nearby. And so I don't want to go to the chain grocery stores anymore. And ButcherBox is the next best thing to a family butcher. Everything is top notch. It's delectable. It's delicious. It's great for making meals for your friends, your family, that hot date you're going to have over. Impress them with a ButcherBox steak. Everything with ButcherBox is customizable as well. You can customize what specific proteins you want. Maybe you're not a pork person. Maybe you're not a beef person. You want chicken and seafood only. You can do all of those things. It's truly customizable. You can set up the delivery schedule. It's just simple. It's easy. And once you kind of find what you like, you can kind of set it and forget it. And you never run out of meats. So if you're looking for an easier way to get great meals on the table, well, give ButcherBox a try. Go to butcherbox.com/milehigher to get $20 off your first box, plus your choice of free ground beef for life or free chicken thighs or top sirloins in every box for a year. So they're giving you free protein. Come on, with free shipping always. What's not to love? That's butcherbox.com/milehigher. Again, that's butcherbox.com/milehigher. Be sure to use our link so they know we sent you. So Kouri's eventual charges were amended to 1 count of aggravated murder, 1 count of attempted aggravated murder, 2 counts of insurance fraud, and 1 count of forgery. And still, she and her family professed her innocence. They stated that in the months leading up to Eric's murder, their relationship seemed to be better than it had been in years. Debatable. And of course, they stated that Eric had been the one to cheat on their marriage, not Kouri. Let's blame Eric. However, when Josh learned that Kouri had been arrested, he immediately felt like she could be responsible. He contacted Eric's family, gave information to their PI, and then began working with the prosecution. In response to Kouri's murder charges, "Are you with me?" was pulled from Amazon and other major retailers, with the public angered by a mother who wrote a children's book about grief after she had just murdered their father.
It's diabolical.
come on. What's crazy is that this book is not on Amazon anymore, but if you go to good old eBay, there's some wackos out there selling it for thousands of dollars. In fact, Ian found a copy selling for $21,000 on eBay.
That's wild. Who would spend that money on this fuck-ass book?
Someone who collects murderabilia. It's a huge market.
Yeah, murderabilia.
There's people that buy stuff owned by murderers.
That's so disgusting and weird. Like,
that's what it is, dude.
Oh, dude, only $3,000. That's a steal.
I know. That's the lowest price, I believe.
That's
$3,000. Let's buy it.
To everyone else, that's not bad.
That's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, but whoever's selling it for $21,000, dude, you're off your rocker, bro. $21,000?
Yeah.
Come on.
Shitty book.
It was probably like $5 on Amazon originally, too.
Yeah.
In June 2023, a bond hearing was held and served as a mini trial. As Kouri's case became famous nationwide, this seemed to be the first new information outside the charging documents, and people were paying attention. First, the prosecution called in a digital forensic investigator to go over Kouri's search history, which, if I ever get into a new line of work, I say this all the time. I have a lot of other lines of work I want to get into, but I would be a digital forensic investigator. Sounds like a really interesting and entertaining job.
Not
dig
pizza
into
chef?
people's. Yeah, I
thought
do
Pizza
that
Josh
for
was the
fun.
dream.
I would do that just for the hell of it. But if I wanted to like take another career seriously, I think it'd be fun to be a forensic investigator.
Oh, it'd be super interesting.
Cracking people's iPhones and
You'd be good at
hard
that.
drives open and extracting all the juicy content. While we read them to you previously, Kouri's defense argued that those searches were conducted after Eric's death. It therefore did not connotate guilt, but rather someone looking for answers in her husband's shocking death, which, come on, man. You expect anyone to believe that? And the searches concerning jail time were only due to her paranoid mindset because she's like, well, if I do get caught and I get wrongfully convicted, I need to know where I'm going to go, and it better be a nice place. And while Carmen did not yet take the stand during this bond hearing, parts of her testimony were heard, including the fact that Kouri paid for a second round of fentanyl using a check. However, Kouri's counsel stated that because it was paid by check, there could be another reason for the payment. Maybe Kouri was just simply paying Carmen to clean her properties. Of course, they also pointed to the fact that Carmen was under pressure from the investigators as she was facing 7 years in prison for 4 first-degree felonies, and the fact that they did not have the contents of the messages, only that Kouri and Carmen messaged and called one another frequently in the weeks and months leading up to Eric's death. They ended the bond hearing with a victim impact statement from Amy. Let's watch it.
His loss has created a Grand Canyon-sized hole in this community. Except instead of taking millions of years to slowly form, our worlds change overnight. His 3 boys' entire worlds and their perspectives on life changed. None of our lives will ever be the same. Eric died under horrendous circumstances. I am tormented at the thought of what he endured. I play it out in my mind. I go through the terrible sequence of events. I wonder when he realized he was in mortal danger. I wonder what Kouri may have said to him in his last moments. How long was he conscious, knowing he would die? Where were Eric's boys when all of this happened? Did they hear Eric's body fall to the ground? Did they catch a glimpse of their father taking his last breath? It's torture to think of. Why did Eric lose his life? Why did the boys lose their father? Was it because of Kouri's greed and desire to get life insurance and other assets? If so, that is abhorrent. How could anyone value human life so cheaply? I cannot comprehend it. I'm overflowing with grief and pain at the thought that Eric meant so little to her. If Eric had died because of an illness, he would have been cared for. He could have looked after him and been with him. If he had died because of an accident, people would have tried to help. There would have been kindness. But there's no comfort to be had here. There's no consoling thought in the way Eric died. In his last moments, after being intentionally poisoned, he was faced with betrayal and terror. The thought of it is unbearable. I am haunted by the horror of it.
God, that's just devastating to hear from her. And you see those fake tears she was wiping away? There were no tears to be seen.
And I
and the fake
appreciate
shaking for like a couple seconds.
I appreciate that she also pointed out the cruel reality of likely what really happened
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah.
where she paints a different picture rather than the story that Kouri tells us that, oh, I just came in the room and just found, and just like, she was probably there at the end, full well knowing what was about to happen.
Yeah,
and
most likely.
And yeah, absolutely heartbreaking to think that maybe one of their kids could have saw their dad, in those final moments. Devastating. But in the end, the judge decided that Kouri was to be held without bond, citing the fact that she still posed a danger to others and could be a potential flight risk. In September 2023, Kouri suffered a medical emergency while in custody. She was given the wrong prescription medication and had a seizure, which prompted a trip to the emergency room. As a result of the emergency, officials discovered a handwritten letter in her cell, now known as the Walk the Dog letter. Even though she was denied access to her family, this letter appeared to instruct them on what to say during the trial, which is a clear attempt at witness tampering. In the letter, Kouri instructed her brother Ronnie to falsely testify that Eric had gotten the fentanyl while in Mexico and that Ronnie should have texted with Eric about getting high. She wrote, "Reword however you want. The connection has to be made between Mexico and drugs."
Now, while the prosecution claimed this was a clear attempt at witness tampering, Kouri's mother stated that the contents of the letter were true. However, Kouri took a different approach, stating that this was a work of fiction that she planned to use in a book she was writing. What the fuck? That makes no sense at all. I can't believe she even tried to make that argument. But her defense argued that this could not be considered witness tampering because it didn't go anywhere. And I mean, that does make sense. It never actually, made it into anyone's hands, so it couldn't have been tampering. But it was tampering, but it was an attempt for sure. I feel like it, was probably considered. Ultimately, as the families waited for trial, the focus was on their sons. Kouri's family was denied access to her sons, and she was only allowed to speak with them via video call twice a week. And I can't imagine they liked speaking to her much. Kouri's mother, Lisa, stated that she still attended their sports practices as they were public areas and she could still see her grandchildren there. Now, there was another reason for this focus on the boys. The families were engaged in numerous civil suits concerning Eric's estate, and it was assumed that whoever gained custody of the boys would receive the trust benefits. So all of this, including Kouri's guilt, hung in the air as the families waited for trial to commence in February of 2026. After jury selection was completed on the 10th, Kouri's trial began in earnest under the supervision of Judge Richard Mrazek. It had been nearly 4 years by this point since Eric's death. Chief Prosecutor Brad Bloodworth laid out his case by stating that Kouri had murdered Eric by poisoning his Moscow Mule using a lethal dose of fentanyl and had wanted his money to perpetuate her facade of privilege, affluence, and success amidst her mountains of debt. Kouri and her counsel, of course, still maintained her innocence, and she was personally convinced that she would not be found guilty. Kouri just seemed so delusional throughout all of this. I mean, still is, I believe.
She's a young, brilliant woman.
That's right, young, brilliant woman for sure. One of the biggest pieces of evidence in the trial outside of the various testimonies was, of course, Kouri's 911 call. The prosecution played this call numerous times throughout the trial, and a forensic analyst was brought in to explain some of the strange discrepancies. For one, this was the big one we told you guys to pay attention to earlier, but the call operator repeatedly asked Kouri to put the phone on speaker so she could then instruct her on how to do the chest compressions. But this analyst showed that Kouri never took the phone from her ear, as phone data indicated the proximity speaker was active the entire time rather than speaker mode, which we were all, it was news to us all that this data is even recorded in your phone, whether or not you're using speaker.
That's some deep diving though, man. Because you're going beyond. This isn't. I'm sure not even in the iOS layer. I mean, this is going into like the manufacturer, like firmware backend.
Yeah.
This took some serious deep diving. I don't think you can just like pull it. Hey Siri, pull up my proximity
No.
sensor.
Of course not. But yeah, this is something that Miss Brilliant Woman had no idea they could figure out. So that shows us that Kouri was not doing the compressions as instructed because she was still holding the phone to her fucking ear. Or maybe she was doing them with one hand, but obviously that wouldn't work and there wouldn't be much effort behind that. But I just think she didn't even want to touch him and probably didn't attempt to do them at all. It was just lying. So they also compared this to Kouri's version of events as she texted to her friend, stating that she was screaming and beating on Eric's chest. Clearly, that was a lie. And there was, of course, her behavior as captured on that police body cam footage. They explained that Kouri often held her head in her hands as if she's trying to conceal her face. And she's doing this constantly in that footage. Like she is really, really not wanting anyone to see her. I think she was worried she'd like crack a smile, honestly. I mean, with the gifts that were going on, I don't think she was had a genuine ounce of sadness in her.
No.
She wanted to make sure that they didn't detect any strange facial expressions from her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Eric's sister Katie was actually one of the first to testify. And she stated that Kouri said that she was going to sell her house only hours after Eric's death. That's literally what she started talking about. So that she could close on her massive mansion in Midway. So it really shows you where her mindset was at. Katie said, planning on selling the house he had just been wheeled out of, I could not wrap my mind around it. I mean, no one can. Then the gifts that Kouri accessed were shown to the court before they went through the initial timeline she gave to authorities, questioning the fact that she had chosen to start her account with fixing Eric a drink at 9:15 rather than discovering his body hours later. Very telling.
Mm-hmm. And then Carmen took the stand, explaining to the jury for the first time how she acquired the fentanyl pills for Kouri. Of course, as she was the prosecution's star witness, this is when Kouri's defense tried to introduce as much doubt as possible and referred to the investigator's remark that Carmen's testimony would be her get-out-of-jail-free card. Then Josh Grossman testified for the prosecution, detailing their years-long affair. He not only mentioned the Uintas trip in which Kouri asked if he had killed somebody, but that she had also texted him that they could watch a murder doc and snuggle. The prosecution also brought up the St. Martin trip, but this could have worked in Kouri's favor as her defense stated that she had canceled the trip out of grief for her dead husband. And of course, her incriminating search history was once again brought up, and her defense explained, those searches were just conducted after she was given a search warrant as she's scared about being under investigation and just looking for answers in her husband's death. In addition to the search history, when Eric's autopsy was discussed in court, one of the defense's central claims was that the medical examiner did not determine homicide as the manner of death. Another possible avenue for the defense to introduce doubt. Kind of all they have, really. Of course, the Midway mansion was also used as a motive for Eric's debt, but once again, Kouri's defense stated that the debt was common in house flipping businesses. They also stated that even if Kouri had purchased drugs from Carmen, there was no way to know that she 100% was the one who put the drug in Eric's drink, as the cup was not retrieved from the scene. On top of that, a close friend of Kouri's had testified that Josh played no part in Eric's death, essentially sealing off any potential motive that she was looking for a new life with him. On March 12th, 2026, after the prosecution presented a 3-week-long case with 40 witnesses, they rested. Jurors were excited because they could now hear from the defense and maybe even hear testimony from Kouri herself. However, just as the judge asked who the defense would call as its first witness, the defense responded that it intended to rest. And this was a shock, as it was almost assumed that Kouri would take the stand. The judge even took a moment to reach out to Kouri and be like, hey, you sure you don't want to testify? You have that right at trial. But Kouri said no, and pretty confidently was like, I'm good. While the defense felt like they had presented enough doubt by poking at the prosecution's witnesses, the jury felt like they hadn't been able to humanize Kouri and that she presented herself with a very flat effect. In Brad Bloodworth's closing argument, he stated that Kouri was a ruthless social climber whose incompetent business was imploding and he continued that the only way Kouri saw forward was with Eric's death. Her defense said the investigation was sloppy, citing Carmen's testimony and the untested glasses and pill bottle. They said Eric's family drove the investigation, and his personal drug use was never looked into as a result. According to her counsel, Kouri was upbeat, hopeful, and even convinced that she was not going to be found guilty. They believed that since the medical examiner could not determine a manner of death, in addition to Carmen's testimony, which they deemed as not credible, that they were confident that there was absolutely enough doubt introduced into the case to get a favorable outcome.
But then, on March 16th, 2026, after just 3 hours of deliberation, the jury reached its verdict, and Kouri Richins was found guilty on all charges. And they pointed to her money and marital problems as the motive. And in the footage of that, she looks pretty shocked. I really think she, till the very end, thought she was going to get away with this. 2 months later, on Eric's 44th birthday, Kouri was back in court for her sentencing hearing. She was facing either 25 years to life with the possibility of parole or life without parole. And it was here that Eric's family and their children as well provided impact statements. Now, the children's statements were read by their counselors. Let's take a look. I was shocked by this and happy that the kids got to make these statements.
My name is Jessica Black. I'm a licensed clinical mental health therapist and a registered play therapist. Myself and my colleagues are here today to read the victim impact statements for 3 children. We are here as advocates on their behalf. After a developmentally appropriate process, the boys were able to decide individually how they wanted to share their statements, and this is what they chose. Our roles are to read their words exactly as they wrote. The boys want the court and the world to hear their side. This is from WR. I woke up to sirens, and there were a lot of people at my house, and I was definitely scared. I felt confused. I was in a bedroom with my brothers, and I didn't know what was happening. At first, I was really scared because I didn't know what was happening, and I had no control, and I felt helpless. I felt really overwhelmed. After my dad died, Kouri would put us in the basement while she was with the neighbor. I felt scared because I thought something really bad was happening again. She would take me to places that smelled really bad. Everything she did made me feel uncomfortable. When someone talks about Kouri, it makes me feel hateful and ashamed. She took away my dad. It's made me have a hard time trusting people. I was scared that Kouri's family would come to my school and take me. I had to go to counseling with DCFS in Heber, and I did not like it. DCFS made me talk to Kouri, and I couldn't do things that I wanted to do. I felt not important to anyone. I feel a lot better about myself now than I did with Kouri. I can't ever see my dad again. I want her to go to prison forever. If she got out, I would be so scared, really mad, and I wouldn't want to go with her anywhere. I'm worried that she would take me away from Katie and Clint. Once she is gone, I will feel happy, and I will feel safer and relaxed and trust people more.
These poor children, to lose their parents in such different ways, just the trauma they have been through. My God, it's just horrific. Here's another child statement.
Christina.
Yes,
Good morning.
Your Honor. I am Christina Greening. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, not registered play therapist, and I will be reading for AR. You took away my dad for no reason other than greed, and you only cared about yourself and your stupid boyfriends. You were not caring and watching over me and my brothers. I had to be a parent to W. C and I would walk him to the bus stop, feed him, and watch him. You were not concerned about our health. When we got hurt, you didn't even care. When C got ran over by a side-by-side, you still made him go to the soccer game that day without taking him to the doctors first. You would lock C in his room, and I would have to go to the kitchen and bring him food. You shamed us when we didn't want to eat uncooked lasagna you made. We threw it away because we couldn't eat it. Then you made us watch videos of children starving in war areas. You wanted to scare us into eating something that wasn't cooked. You wouldn't let our dog outside, and then the dog would pee inside. You created this problem, then you would smack my dog on the head as hard as you could. You wouldn't let me put my kitten in the garage for safety at night, and we found it eaten by raccoons the next day. You wouldn't let us turn on and use the heater lamp for the chickens and bunnies, and they froze to death. You would always argue with my dad and lock the door. You were not playing the role as a real mother does. You were doing the opposite. Now my dad can't be my coach anymore, can't be at any of my games. He won't be at my birthdays. He can't teach me how to drive. He won't be at my graduation, and he can't take me camping or fishing. You made me paranoid about sleeping on my dad's side of the bed by saying I might die or get harmed when I was just trying to be close to my dad after you killed him. You took away everything from me and my brothers. I don't want you out of jail because I will not feel safe if you are out. You have never said sorry for anything that you have done to me and my brothers. I don't want you to hurt anyone again. I know that you will need to stay in jail to fully take accountability for what you did to me, CW, and my dad. With you in jail, I will be able to continue to feel safe and live a happy and successful life without fear of you hurting me or anyone I love. Thank you, Your Honor.
Another really damning account of things coming from son AR. That's what they're referring to him as, to keep his privacy. But oh my God. And if you're listening to this episode, Kouri is seen in the background during the testimonies, and she just looks, she's trying to give this face of shock and disbelief that this can't possibly be true. It's almost like she's trying to get the message across that they must be being fed this information, that this is all concocted and
what
they're
she actually
brainwashed.
says.
And she does say that later on.
These
yes.
are lies.
But she's trying to paint that picture with just her facial expression. I mean, she stopped short of like rolling her eyes, but I mean, at one point she literally drops her mouth open, and it's just like, she's definitely trying to disprove what they're saying with her expressions here.
Yeah, it's interesting how really there's no mention of her being a good mom.
No, not at all.
Throughout all of this, even before this all happened, there's no like explicit call out of like, Kouri was a great mom despite all of the troubles. None of that.
No. Mm-mm.
And her children just confirmed that she is a selfish, narcissistic person who does not care about anybody else other than herself and her own selfish needs. For the longest time, keeping track of our finances was a huge pain, especially those subscriptions. I mean, literally everything we buy these days is subscription-based, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you need a way to manage them so that you can keep track of what you're actually using and what you're not using. And for the longest time before I found Rocket Money, I was just kind of, freeballing it. And you know what? They stacked up before I knew what I was paying for subscriptions. I completely forgotten about, including these obscure subscriptions to like a pill organizer. I mean, just random things that have random, like a pet camera had a subscription on it. And so Rocket Money went through my accounts, found all those subscriptions that were coming out. Because, after time, there's so much going on within your personal finances coming in and out of the account automatically. And so it's just save the headache, save the stress, and just get Rocket Money. I mean, it's literally free to download and start using. And it's going to save you time, but more than that, it's going to save you a lot of money. I mean, we're talking hundreds of dollars. I think I saved well over $1,000 by the time I got done with setting up my Rocket Money account. And now it's one of my favorite apps I use every single morning because the dashboard puts everything nice and neat. You can see when bills are coming out. You can also have them negotiate lower rates on utility bills for you. It's just so simple. And on some of those subscriptions, they can even go and cancel them for you. And then with the premium version, which I pay for, and it's like a Starbucks every month. And you know what? It's well worth it because then you can tap into credit monitoring. You can track your net worth. You can get all your investment accounts in there, and you can truly have your complete financial picture all in one app and really watch your money start rocketing to a whole other level. I mean, it's a smart thing to do. And if you're not doing that right now, then I highly suggest you check out Rocket Money, because I promise you, you won't be disappointed. You're going to love this app as much as I do. There's so much customization to it. There's custom alerts you can set up, custom budgeting in it. It'll notify you if your bills go up in price, which is really nice because you got a water leak in the house, a toilet's running, your water bill is going to go up. And maybe you're not going to notice unless you go and look at your water bill every time. But a lot of us just have all that coming straight out of the account without really thinking about it. But Rocket Money is going to give you a notification, be like, yo, your water bill went up by $200 last month. And that's going to come to your attention and be like, whoa, that's weird. Someone take 10 baths a day. What's going on? And before you know it, you're going to figure out, okay, what's the issue, and save money in the long run. It's proactive financial assistance, and everybody needs it these days. So take advantage. Rocket Money is the personal finance app that helps you find and cancel those unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/milehigher. It's rocketmoney.com/milehigher. rocketmoney.com/milehigher.
I mean, yeah, they're like pretty much stating that she's been abusive to them.
Yeah.
And abusive to animals too. The dog, the cat, the kitten, the bunnies, the chickens, bringing up all of that. And then what is up with the video she showed them to get them to eat raw lasagna? What parent like brings up terrifying videos? What did they say? She say specifically, like war?
Children starving in war.
God.
She's sick in the head, man.
Psycho.
She
definitely is something. And then in this next clip you're about to watch, the third child gives his statement through the counselor and even alleges that she had accidentally poisoned him as well.
Yes, my name is Sarah. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and registered play therapist, and I'm going to read the victim impact statement for CR. My name and age now, my name and age I was at the time of the crime. CR, age 12, now 13. I was 9 when my dad was murdered. What I would like to see happen if the perpetrator is convicted of the crime, I would like to see Kouri get a life sentence. My thoughts regarding an appropriate sentence for the person who is accused of this crime and if they are found guilty. I think Kouri should get a life sentence because what she did is very sick. Because it had no reason to happen and it impacted a bunch of people, including me. These are some reasons why I think she should have a life sentence. The information I feel is important for the judge to be aware of in sentencing. I think the judge should know that my dad was a good person and very thoughtful and kind and helped whoever needed help. He was always taking the extra mile to help people. My physical injuries as a result of this crime are as follows. I was sleeping and then I went to get a drink of water, then went back to bed. And when I woke up shaking and Bailey called the ambulance and they came and I couldn't talk for a while, I think Kouri had something to do with it because she didn't call the ambulance. She called Bailey and Bailey called the ambulance. At the ER, Kouri resisted to have my blood drawn, and kids who usually have this kind of seizure is when they are a few months old to a year old. I learned later that Kouri bought more fentanyl and had it in the house when this happened. I think this is what happened. She did what she did to my dad in the living room. My experienced emotional injury because of this crime is described as follows. Sad. I feel mad that I have to feel sad. I went from being scared for my life to feeling really good. I was scared for my life because I didn't eat that much. Kouri was always drunk or gone. I was always locked in my room. I can't remember, but I am pretty sure the lock was on the outside. Kouri threatened she would kill my lizard because we didn't want to watch some weird show with her. All of our chickens died because there was no food or water. My rabbit died because we didn't have food or water. The goats almost starved to death because she bought moldy hay and she didn't water them. Nothing ever got fed or watered. It didn't feel good to worry about my animals. I felt like I had to take care of my siblings. Ash mostly took care of me though because I was locked in my room. Ash would bring me food. Kouri would lock me up if I told her she was drunk. This happened pretty much daily. I feel angry that she locked me in my room. I am angry almost all my animals died. I am angry she threatened to kill them. I am angry she killed my dad. I started to feel really good when I moved into a safe place. It was safe because the people around me were safe, Katie and Clint. I felt safe at Jake and Shalina, I believe, because I wasn't with Kouri anymore. Counseling. I feel annoyed that I have to go to counseling and tell the story about what happened 55 million times. I feel better now because I know it's to help me. I would like to not have to go to counseling. I would like to have to not worry about anything after this trial is over. I want the judge to know. I hope Kouri gets convicted to a life sentence. Kouri is always drunk. I want the judge to know my dad was a good person and I miss my dad. I miss my dad, but I do not miss how my life used to be. I don't miss Kouri. I will tell you that.
Wow.
Insane, right? It's poor child. All three of them. It's terrible.
I mean, and talk about a dagger through the heart as a parent.
Yeah.
To hear your kids speak about you in that way, confirm all these things to you that maybe you intentionally did or not. She deserves to carry that guilt and shame.
Oh, yeah, she does.
And that betrayal.
I don't know about you, but looking at her facial expressions, she doesn't seem sad by what they're saying. She doesn't seem like she feels bad. She seems shocked and defensive about it.
No, the fact that she's not in tears, hysterically crying as a parent, to hear our children say anything remotely like that about us would absolutely crush me.
Oh my God. I can't even. Oh.
And she's just like, huh?
Yeah, she did the drop mouth again too.
Like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. She's just a cute. Well, and it's also interesting, I'm sure, as you noticed, all three of the children referred to her by her first name. And they all requested that, I mean, maybe not the first one, but I think definitely the second and the third. Or did the first as well? Okay, so all three of them requested that she receive the harshest sentence possible. And that says a whole lot. And it's also interesting that all of them call her Kouri, considering that these statements were made with different counselors, but they're all on the same page that we don't even call her mother, our mom, or anything, That's all they referred to her as. Pretty fucking telling. And in addition to Kouri's children, some of Eric's family members made victim impact statements in support of Kouri receiving the harshest sentence possible as well. So let's watch Katie, Eric's sister, give her statement.
They were in the house the night she killed their father. They were awake. They knew that something terrible had happened to their dad. As we heard on the 911 call during trial, one of them even walked into Eric's bedroom, where Eric's body lay dead, poisoned by someone who his son should have been able to unconditionally trust, love, and depend on. No child should have to bear that trauma. But Eric's 3 innocent sons will bear that burden, and they will bear it for the rest of their lives. Kouri's selfishness and cruelty did not end with Eric's murder. In the time after Eric's death, Kouri has done nothing but isolate, manipulate, deceive, and do harm to those boys. Almost immediately after Eric died, she cut them off completely from our family, from Eric's family. The isolation was calculated and strategic. Kouri used the boys as bargaining chips with my dad. She repeatedly threatened not to let him see his grandsons unless he could convince me, as Eric's trustee of his trust, to capitulate to her legal demands and give her all the trust assets. While isolating the boys, Kouri provided them with false and harmful information about me and my family. When DCFS took custody of the boys following Kouri's arrest and asked where they would like to go, they expressed fear of my family. The fear was not based on reality, but on what they had been told. For over a year, Kouri led them to believe that I hated them, that I was attempting to take Eric's money for myself, and that I intended for them to be left without support, that they would be homeless and starving.
So then Kouri's brother, Ronnie, took the stand pleading for leniency.
I'd like to address the court with actually a person what I did for Kouri. Okay. Little sister, I love you. I miss you. I miss our random banter. I miss our calls. I miss your constantly over-the-top positive attitude every time you speak. I miss our game nights. I miss Eric's stupid finger gun dance after we won a game. I miss our holidays. I miss you sending the boys to wake me up on Christmas morning. Way too early after we stayed up way too late preparing Christmas for them so that it'd be absolute perfect. I miss our Sundays together. I miss arguing with the boys about who's better, Messi or Ronaldo, Brady or Rogers. I miss our backyard games. I miss me and the boys running all over you at sports in the backyard and Eric getting mad because you weren't competitive enough and you were really just out there to have fun and laugh. I miss you constantly luring me into your newest ideas and getting me excited about them. I miss vacationing. I miss family volleyball. I miss playing Madden and FIFA with Eric and the boys. I miss your stupid goats. I miss the soccer games and the celebrations we created for the boys after they scored a goal. I miss Carter's smile and his obsession with goat videos. Ashton's freckles and his competitiveness. And Weston's baby blues and tenderheartedness. I miss hearing them say Wani and playing catch in your living room. I miss your family.
You hear that dig at Eric during that?
Mm-hmm.
Had to sneak that in, asshole.
Yeah, and notice her reaction to her brother's statement is completely different, highly emotional.
Yeah, and that seems pretty genuine.
When she's hearing her kids' statements, she's not emotional, just acting surprised. And I think obviously she's like, oh, it's just all lies. They were told to write this or whatever.
It almost seems like she's written her children off as her enemies now. And finally, Kouri was allowed to give a statement of her own, using her time to speak to her children, who have already clearly disowned her ass. And of course, she took this opportunity to profess her innocence as well. Let's take a look at that.
My sweet baby boys. I know that today you don't want to speak to me, have a relationship with me, or you may think you hate me, and that's okay. I will never be angry at you for your feelings. When the day comes that you're ready, I will be here for you, waiting for you, and loving you. But I need you boys to know and understand that I have been desperately trying to get in contact with you any way that I can for years. That all of my communication has been completely cut off from you since early 2024. And now I will use any opportunity I can to get a message to you. Even if that means sharing it publicly to the world, fully restrained, in my jail clothes, in one of the most horrible situations possible. I don't care, and I'm not embarrassed or ashamed by any of it. All I care about is you boys. I will do whatever it takes for you to hear the truth from me and to come home to you. For the time being, I don't know when that is or when my next opportunity will be. So for now, bear with me as I have tried to consolidate everything I've wanted to share with you for the last few years, with everything I want you to know until I'm able to speak to you again. And one long message.
Whatever, dude. I don't believe anything she says. It's so performative. I doubt this is even really what she's intending to say to the kids as much as a show for everyone else, but whatever.
I believe she speaks for the entire 40 minutes.
Does she really?
It's insanely long. I mean, because she didn't testify at trial, which was her decision. So she just saved it all for this gigantic sentencing testimony.
Well, like I said earlier, I think she really thought she didn't need to speak at trial, didn't need to testify. She was going to get away with this. And then it was a shock to her when she didn't. And she's like, oh, guess this is my only opportunity. But yeah. So finally, the judge returned their verdict. Kouri was sentenced to life without parole. We love to see it. And for Eric's family, this was the end of a years-long nightmare. I mean, they had just gone through so much. So to finally get that justice had to have been, a huge sense of relief for them. You also may be wondering, what happened to Carmen? Well, she hasn't made any public statements since the trial. She was granted immunity for her federal charges in exchange for her testimony, and she seems to currently be living free. Today, while it seems that all of the civil suits have been decided in favor of the Richins family, as the children were living with Katie and actively working with their counselors. At the time of the trial, they were 9, 11, and 13 years old. Eric's family said they couldn't think of anything worse for a child than losing their father, except to know that it was because of their mother. I couldn't agree more with that statement. Kouri Richins will spend the rest of her miserable life in prison where she belongs. She is currently being held at the Utah State Correctional Facility, the same prison that other notorious mothers are being held. Ruby Franke, a real gem, that one, and Megan Huntsman as well. So she's in good company.
Yeah, she has appealed.
Of course.
Her conviction.
Yes.
And the Utah Court of Appeals has accepted her appeal, but they have not scheduled any future court dates.
Yeah.
And that was like a month ago.
I bet she will do it. It will be denied, and then she'll do it again, and this will go on and on and on.
Yeah, we'll see. But I think the evidence is pretty clear.
Yeah.
There's just so much evidence pointing to a well thought out plot.
Yeah.
And
I mean, how she obtained the fentanyl, the search history. There's so much. It's pretty clear, I think, to most people. I'm sure there's people out there who think she's innocent. I'm sure there's people online like campaigning for,
yeah,
her appeal and her release. And
well, as her lawyer said, there's no smoking gun.
Okay, well, we certainly don't need it.
Because there's no glass. There's no,
Yeah, well, whatever.
But based on the circumstantial evidence, it seemed very clear, and her actions before and after, it seems very clear what the motive was.
Mm-hmm.
She was in over her head in debt, drowning. Her marriage is falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
She knew she was going to lose out on lots and lots of money.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, she decided to throw away her children, her children's dad, her whole entire life and future.
It's evil. And personally, I think the affair was part of it too. A lesser part, but I think that factored in.
Yeah, I think, at a certain point,
Mm-hmm.
I think it definitely started giving her sort of this false fantasy that she was trying to chase. And
yeah, and I think it disconnected her from Eric in a lot of ways, Just everything would be easier without him.
Well, Eric was already on his way out. He was already planning to divorce her. So
right, that too, yeah.
I think she knew that without Eric and access to his funds,
Mm-hmm.
and learning about the trust that he had put in place, that she was going to end up with a whole lot of debt and very, very little money.
Yep.
And, maybe there's other things we don't know about the relationship, but I think she is all for money at the end of the day and social climbing. And she had this idea of what her life should be like and where she thought she should be. And, she was willing to throw it all away in the process to get there, and
Mm-hmm.
completely backfired on her.
Yep.
So, yeah, I hope she stays right where she belongs.
Oh, she will.
And
she's not getting out. I'd be shocked.
And I really just feel terrible for Eric's family, and especially the boys, man. I mean, that is just because they've now lost both parents effectively, and at least they have each other, and the rest of their family.
Yeah,
but
and
still,
it sounds like they feel, from their statements, they feel really, safe and supported by them. So
and honestly, thank God Eric did what he did, and he put all of his assets and as much as he could into that trust, and so that the boys aren't left with nothing at the end of this.
Yeah, I mean, I really think he knew.
Well, he said that they were like, if something happens to me, go look at Kouri.
Right.
And when that's just something that people don't say unless they have a reason to say it, right?
Yep.
Especially to family members. And so I think he had a feeling that something like that could happen. And I think he knew she attempted to murder him before. And
yeah, personally, I believe both of the previous times were attempts.
Yeah. And unfortunately, she was successful. But
yeah,
let us know your thoughts.
Yeah.
You guys have any other thoughts?
I just fucking don't like her.
Cool.
I liked her final little dig at her kids with the, they don't talk to me anymore. It's okay. I forgive you for your failings. Like, I don't know. It's just such an underhanded, shitty, fucked up thing to say.
Yep.
And if by something, I won't say that. Never mind. I was going to say, I hope she dies in prison, but that's... She will.
Yeah, over in the peanut gallery here, we do not fuck with Kouri, man.
Yeah, you know what? I support that statement. Keep it in there. Whatever. She is going... Yeah, I hope she dies in prison, too, because she has a life sentence. So, yes. Where else would she...
every appeal gets denied. I mean,
Yep.
Mm-hmm. She has to live,
not a day of freedom
with
for
that
this bitch.
Deep, deep shame.
Yeah.
And embarrassment and regret.
Yeah, it was also infuriating hearing in her statement, too, just how she was trying to basically tell the kids, like, you're brainwashed,
Yeah,
you guys are foolish.
Let's, instead of validating their very valid feelings, and even considering what they've all been through, just continuing to run off this fuel that I think some of her own family members have been behind as well, of like, oh no, you're innocent. It's all these lies and stuff. Like, she's getting support, right? She has some support behind her. And I think she's chosen to stick to that, even if that alienates her further from her own children.
Yeah.
And that's a sad thing to see, honestly, at the end of the day. I hate that for them.
Did she ever really love them or care about them if she was willing to kill their father? Like, that's just...
Unironically, I don't think she ever loved them.
No, I don't think so either.
Especially if, like, the kids are accidentally getting fucking poisoned in the house, too, as the one alleged. And I also think about her mom saying, like, I still go to their soccer game, not their soccer games, their sports practices, even after we have a court order to stay away from the children.
Yeah.
And she's like, but it's a public place, so I can do it. It's like, that shouldn't fucking matter. It's like, it's a moral obligation at this point for you to not be around those children. They do not want to be with your side of the family.
Yeah, that's so inappropriate. And that's something we didn't really get into too much, but I can't stand her mom. And, we haven't heard that much from the other members of the family, but her mom especially, in some of her interviews early, I mean, they have quieted down a lot since more evidence has come out, but initially the things that they were saying about Eric were offensive and just so behind Kouri in the beginning.
Well, it was just all the blame was on him.
Yeah.
They blamed every aspect.
Like
he's self-medicating.
He's
buying off sketchy people. And
he's
who knows? He got something
hunting.
laced. I mean, they were looking for any excuse to put this on.
Yeah. And stand
to
by
protect
their murderous daughter.
Yeah.
I legitimately believe that she saw these kids from birth as a guarantee into Eric's estate.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. That's could very well have been the case.
Because social status, highest priority.
Yes.
To be rich.
Man, those tears were coming as soon as somebody supported her. But God forbid you even try to meet your kid halfway.
Yeah. Yep.
After they just had their worst nightmare happen. And they lost the dad that they loved, that they looked up to, that they had so many great memories with, that they'll never get to have ever again because their mom is a selfish, conniving.
And think about the fact that in the early days when she wrote that book, they were probably like pretty comforted by it. And that was probably really meaningful to them. And then to find out everything later on and to be duped in that way by your mother.
Nothing because she's over there killing their pets.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, I guess maybe that could also have been the case, but I don't know.
Yeah, evil thrown through, man.
Evil.
She chose an evil path, and
you're where you belong, you nasty smelling hoe.
And now you'll pay.
That's all I got to say.
Now you pay.
All right, guys, we will be back next week with another case for you. But until then, keep on taking your mind a mile higher. Sorry, I thought you were saying something else.
All right, see you guys.